Thank you so much for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 175, Feeding the Hunger Within. What are you hungry for? Oh, I've asked that question of people and they just kind of look at me dumbfounded. They're not sure exactly what that means. If you don't know your own self well enough to feed your own hungers, you certainly are never going to be able to feed the hunger within your child. And so let's talk about this. Some of us are hungry for recognition. Often those people want to get famous. They want to be a great actor, a great sports person, a good musician. They want to be famous for something. They want recognition. Some people are really hungry for acceptance. They will do almost anything, even self destructive, unwise things, in order to have someone accept them. Some people are really hungry for love, really are hungry for love. They might go about it all wrong. They might give away parts of themselves they can't afford to give up. They might give away their body, parts of their soul, even their very spirits and parts of their psyche in order to get love or to feel loved. What are you hungry for? Some people have no idea what they're hungry for, and they will overeat, and they will be over exuberant, and they will be over the top because they have this deep seated hunger, but they have no idea what it is, so they're feeding it alternatively. Some people will feed it with sex, some people will feed it with excessive expenditures of cash, with stuff. Some people will overfeed it with experience. Some people will do it with drugs and alcohol. We are going to look to feed the hunger within. I'm trying to teach you today to think about it and assess it so that you actually know what that hunger within is for. Some people hunger for connection, which is a little different than love. Love tends to be very deep into the heart. Connection can often be with the mind or the psychological makeup of a person. Their personality is longing for connection. It's a little different than love. Some people just want to be completely left alone. A severe introvert, especially one who's been hurt and hasn't processed it well, you might see them that what they're really looking to feed is their own self-protection. They don't want anyone coming near. They just want to lock themselves in their house or their room or their little virtual world and never have to be with anyone again. They're looking to feed the need for self-protection. I'm not telling you that's a healthy one, but that one exists. But mostly I want to talk about feeding the hunger within when the need is healthy. Okay. So you really do long for love. You're looking to feed that part of your life, but you can't find a suitable mate. Well, there are a lot of other people and a lot of other ways in the world to meet that need, and I mean in an appropriate, healthy manner. So you join groups where you have things in common with people, whether that's a skydiving club or a golf club or uh, a bridge club or a painting class, a dance class, a swimming class, whatever, horseback riding. You're looking for people who have things in common with you. So you have love amongst people with whom you share a common interest, and you can share your hearts and your minds while you're doing that. In our culture, 150, 200 years ago, people did pretty much everything together. You had this large family, 8 to 10 kids, and you'd do the farm together, you'd run your store together, you'd do your tailoring business together. You did what you did as a family unit. And so, in that working together, you shared your hearts and your thoughts, ideas and goals and aspirations. All of that stuff just happened as a matter of course. In today's world where kids go to school away from home so often, and both mom and dad are at work, and the kids are in various places being cared for by various people. And then when mom and dad get home, they're really rushed to do meal preparation and make sure kids are getting their homework done. And it doesn't foster that same sense of love and connectedness that a person who really needs love is looking for. So, one of your children is a person who really needs that. You've got to feed that need within very intentionally. You have to teach yourself the importance of feeding the people that you care about. And I mean their emotions, their heart, and their mind. And you also have to explain to your child. You have to take responsibility for feeding the need that you have, as well as me taking responsibility for it. It's like everything else in life. They don't start off at 3 meeting their own needs, but you're helping them as they go along, from being a baby to a toddler to a preschooler to a young elementary kid to an older elementary kid to a middle schooler to a junior high school to a high school student to a college student. Along the way, they're taking successive steps to gain the skills necessary to start feeding the hunger within themselves in a healthy way. So, what happens when your hunger doesn't get fed? People don't accept you. People don't like you. People don't love you. People don't admire you. You're not getting any kind of recognition. Well, you have to acknowledge and handle the frustration and the disappointment which every single human being experiences. So you help your child know that this actually is part of the human experience. As we have discussed, not every person who runs the race wins it. There's a winner. You desire recognition. Well, so your child finishes third, but they ran a great race. You recognize how amazing that was. You recognize and celebrate the great things that they do, even if that's a B minus. You have to see the need within that child and feed it, not at your level of expectation, especially if you're a perfectionist or a hard driving super achiever, like some of us might be, but you have to meet them where they are and feed the hunger within them at their level. What in the world? I mean, seriously, you have a child who's got a desperate need for recognition. You find the place where they excel. They're a great artist. You enter them in community wide artist contests. They're a really good horseback rider. You enter them into barrel racing competitions or whatever is available where you are. They have a great voice, then you put them into talent contests or you let them participate in a special choir in the school district. You meet their need, you feed that hunger within them to the best of your ability. You show acceptance to them day after day after day, even though some of their behavior isn't acceptable, because you recognize that hunger with them in them to be accepted, but you accept them as a person. You give them that level of respect just as a human being, and you feed that hunger within them. Some people have a really burning hunger that's a lot different than their parents. Their parents can't recognize it. Sometimes their parents don't approve of it or don't like it. I, I guess I'm going to use this illustration for you. I knew a kid, he was a really great drummer. He really was an astounding drummer. And his mom and dad had ideas about what he was supposed to be, but he wanted to be a drummer. I have to tell you, he grew up, he is a drummer. And it really kind of broke his relationship to his mom and dad because his mom and dad couldn't accept that hunger within him and they couldn't support it. That's pretty sad. I also know another young man, and he really wanted to be in the military. Whatever that was, he got in his mind that he's going to go into the military. And his mom and dad were pretty anti war, they were pretty pacifistic in their ideas, caused a huge division in them. So his need to be useful and of service in the way that he saw it really went up against. There was a lot of opposition within his family, what they believed or how they saw the world. They worked it out. They actually have a decent relationship with that young man who's actually now out of the military and has kids. You have to try your best, and it's not always easy as a parent, to look at the hunger in your child and feed it. If you don't, they will find a way to feed it. And as we talked about, sometimes that's in very unhealthy ways, and you'll be disappointed and you'll be saddened, and it actually can do real destructive things in a person's life. I know that's not what you want to see. So I want you to look for that hunger within them and try to find a way to feed it. If it's something you know nothing about, even if it's something you don't like, particularly like in the story of the young man who loved the drums and still does, you have to work with that child in the very way in which he or she was created and learn how to feed what they desire so strongly in a healthy way. I'm going to leave you with this story. This friend of mine has now passed away, but as a young woman, she loved fashion. It was hysterical because her mom was kind of like me, jeans and a cute top, and you're good to go. Pair of sandals and Birks, especially, and she was off. This girl, oh my word, she loved frills and ruffles and beautiful chiffons and flowy things. Her mom just could not relate to her whatsoever. And her mom had a hard time feeding the hunger that was within her. But Bee knew herself and she knew what she was going to do. She knew she was going to design fashion. She knew she was going to be involved in clothing. She never gave up on the dream. And honestly, some of the garments that she made were out of this world. She didn't end up going to New York. She didn't do some of the things that she dreamt that she would do. But where she was in her own world, she actually fed the hunger within her and lived out the beauty that was part of what she always desired to live out, both in her own clothing. She was very, very fashionable, very kind of avant-garde so many times. But she was a beautiful woman, and she created the most beautiful garments for people. She fed the hunger within her. Do you know what is in your child? Like what they're really hungry for at the deepest part of their life. Often, even as a teenager, they may not be able to express it. This requires you paying attention, spending time with them, getting to know them, noticing who they really are, and feeding those hungers that are in them, that are good and healthy and a part of who they're designed to be, so that they live a fulfilled, beautiful, wonderful, satisfactory existence, which is what all of us really desire for our children. I hope that you have a beautiful day with your children, that you explore more and more about who they are, and that you find great joy in being a mom and being a dad. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.